it's still like,
Yeah.
you know,
You
noise.
gotta put the little Henrietta in the corner. Put that bitch
I
in the
know.
corner.
I know.
When you hear her speaking, be like, oh, that's Henriette. Put her in the corner.
Yeah. This is Henriette 2.0. Let her talk.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. It's Henrietta and Heather, and welcome to a millennial podcast where we dive deep into the life of our 30s.
We'll discuss our struggles, dreams, relationships, icks, and anything millennials can relate to. Sit back, relax, and let's head on this journey together. We are 30s Unfiltered. Hey everyone, welcome back to 30s Unfiltered. It's Heather and Henrietta, and in today's episode, we're going back in time to our childhoods. No, it's not another episode about growing up in the 90s or watching Lizzie McGuire after school, but about our childhood trauma and how it has shaped us as adults.
Yep, we're going to get into the list of things that you do as an adult that screams childhood trauma and hopefully learn a thing or two about how we can deal with those things. How self-aware are we actually about the things that we react to based on how we grew up?
I think we might need a comfort drink for this one. Go get one and let's get into it.
Yes, we already have one, so cheers. We came prepared.
I think I'm
Funny
already
story
feeling
though.
it. Mm-hmm.
I already watched Lizzie McGuire today.
Oh my gosh.
This is my comfort show. Well, one of them, but I was on Disney Plus and I was like, I already was watching it. So I'm like, that feels like a Lizzie McGuire day.
Is she in
Timeless.
any movies right now? Or any
Uh,
sitcoms?
well, she just had her fourth baby.
Uh,
I know.
Good
And
for her.
I don't know, but she was on that show Younger while she was pregnant and like giving birth. But that was years ago. But I don't know if she's on anything right now.
How
She
many
just launched her
seasons?
own company though.
How many seasons was Younger? Did you watch it?
Four? I did. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was
Is
good.
it-
I'll watch anything with Hilary Duff in it. I love her. I'm obsessed with her. But yeah.
Ah,
Anywho, back to our
anyway,
childhood.
yes.
And
So
Lizzie.
let's jump into it.
Yeah.
Let's define childhood trauma.
Hmm.
So, childhood trauma refers to what a child witnesses, experiences, or learns that are significantly distressing or overwhelming, resulting in lasting negative effects on their mental, emotional, and physical well being. Some types are physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, neglect, witnessing violence, and loss of a loved one. And also, childhood trauma can have significant and long lasting effects, including mental health problems, physical health problems, relationship problems, cognitive problems, and behavioral problems.
Yep.
That
All
was
of
a
the
lot.
above.
Okay.
And the reason why we actually wanted to do this episode is I found a post. I came across a post on Instagram that I think a therapist had posted, and it said 13 things that you do that screams childhood trauma. And I swiped through because I was like, oh, I'm curious. I checked 12 out of 13, and I was like, excuse me? And I have and I think I almost wanted to send it to you, but then I'm like, I'm just gonna show it to you instead. And now we're
Okay.
here.
Let
So
read it,
I'm
and
gonna
then
share
I'll see
them.
if I have how many boxes I check off.
Mm-hmm. Mm, okay, so the first one is over apologizing.
I
Guilty.
used to do that.
See?
I used
Do you
to.
want me to read what it says underneath? Because there's like
Yeah, read it.
so a lot of times that comes from growing up in environments where you had to tiptoe around people's emotions, so you'd rather take the blame preemptively. Oh, that's a hard word. Preemptively than deal with conflict.
Yeah, I definitely have had that, but I've been working on not apologizing. Thank God the people around me are like, why are you stop
Hmm.
apologizing?
Hmm.
So I started to learn not to.
Do you think it's also that you tiptoed in general around your parents at home?
Well, yeah, I would get my ass whooped.
Right.
Yeah, you can't do anything or say anything that gets them upset. So it's like, sorry, because it's like, you're gonna hit me. Sorry.
Oh, that makes my heart hurt for
Poor little
you.
Heather.
Poor little Heather. I don't know exactly where that comes in from. I think it's just that like that good girl syndrome, that's where it comes from. That it's just like you're just supposed to apologize.
Yeah.
Like I think it's just as women, we just do that and then we're like, "Why are we saying sorry?"
Yeah.
You know, because men don't do that.
We're conditioned that way.
Yeah. So I feel like that might, for in my case, that might not be that the childhood trauma, but more of a just because I'm a girl,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. But for you, that is definitely from your childhood.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
because of the abuse, physical abuse.
The second one is not accepting compliments. Oh, this whole thing, I just threw it on. It wasn't that great. Anyone could have done it. When you grew up not feeling seen or validated, it can be hard to believe that praise is genuine or even that you deserve it. So downplaying yourself becomes second nature.
Check. I still have tendencies of doing that, but now I take acknowledgments proudly.
Where do you think that came from?
There was a time where my grandma, she used to say to me, like, you think you're too good. So I would have to humble myself down, or I would take myself down and not make myself seem like I'm better than anyone else. I wouldn't show my true power, my true beauty, and the things that I can accomplish. I always had to downplay it.
Wow.
But now, fuck that.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, that's actually amazing that you already had that inside of you this whole time. Because I
Hmm.
didn't have that. Like, I think, well, for me, compliments have always been about just the way I look. Because I was so insecure and I was so self-conscious and I didn't hear it a lot growing up at all. Like, didn't get compliments on like my face or my body or anything. So when I did receive them more as an adult, I was like, why are you saying that? Because I didn't believe it to be true myself. So I found it hard for other people to think that way. But the more I heard it, the more I started to believe it. But for me, it was just like my body dysmorphia, which is still really hard, but it's gotten better. Now when people give me compliments, I appreciate them and I accept them.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think for me, also, like growing up, it's always been about looks. And I told you before, I was in beauty pageants and all this
Hmm.
stuff. And now I get a lot of compliments on my leadership
Hmm.
and just how powerful I am. And I'm like, yes, thank
Yeah.
you. I accept. I know that.
Yeah.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Yep. That's awesome. Thank you. I love it. Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
what's the
it's
next one?
easy. It is easy just in general to be like, no, like it's not that big a deal or whatever. So I
Yeah.
hear you.
Mhm.
Okay. Third one, avoiding asking for help. Guilty. You'll carry 5 grocery bags in each hand and struggle all the way up the stairs rather than ask someone to give you a hand. This usually stems from feeling like a burden or not wanting to owe anyone anything, a mentality that is often survival based. Yeah.
So I've really started to ask for support, ask for help. As a single mom, that's what I have to do
Yeah.
to, have a
Survive.
really well working life. I
Mhm.
need team and teamwork around me. So I had to learn how to ask for support. And one of the things that got in the way was my ego, my pride, having
Mhm.
to do it all myself because I am guilty of that childhood trauma.
Yeah.
And that, I think that also started a couple years ago when I first started therapy,
Yeah.
where my therapist was like, "Are you asking for support?" I
Mhm.
remember for like 2 weeks straight, one of my homework assignments was to ask for help
Yeah.
because I was doing everything on my own.
Mhm.
So it's like gotten to this point, and now I'm really seeing where I can create more team. We just had this conversation earlier, team around me in different aspects of my life because I have so many different things going on.
Mhm.
What about you?
I'm I have not overcome it. I still struggle with it a lot. And for me, I know it's because I'm an only child, so I didn't have anyone around to, I guess, take the burden off of me and be like, no, I'm here no matter what. Or,
Even if you have siblings, that doesn't happen.
right. Well, I mean, like, hopefully, in most cases, when you do have
Right.
siblings, that is the case, and
Hmm.
especially as you get older. But I just always felt like I was a burden to everyone, and that like we talked about last week, like I would cry by myself and figure out how to deal with whatever I was dealing with instead of asking anyone or telling anyone that I was sad or struggling with something. And I still feel that way. Hopefully, I will overcome it, but it's really hard. Even when I was struggling with all this stuff with my mom, and I was like just feeling just like sad. It's hard for me to even text someone and say I need to talk because I'm like not doing well.
Hmm.
I could have to you. I didn't even do it to you. Like it's just hard, you know. So I don't really know. Like I think like not wanting to owe anyone anything is not the mentality, but I just don't want to be a burden. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I can really get that. And like one of the things that could make a difference is just by sending that text.
Yeah.
Just letting somebody know, like, hey, this is what I'm going through.
Yeah.
So maybe next time, you do feel that way and you are going through something, text me,
Yeah.
text somebody, get somebody on the phone. That's one thing that I did learn is, especially, last year when my brother passed away, that was the thing that actually supported me in getting through it. I surrounded myself with a lot of love and support.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
because I
if
was glad
they're,
that you called me when that happened so that I could,
yeah.
and the thing I talked to my best friend about this too when when we were in Spain and when I was going through like the thing with my mom and everything she was like and other things too that she was like, well, like you didn't even give me a chance to be there for you because you didn't tell me that you were going through it. And that really stuck with me, but it's still, even though I know that, it's still hard to unlearn the habits of feeling like I can't reach out because I'm disturbing whatever they're doing. And then instead of like, I would always like wait until they welcomed my whatever. Like, I don't know, but it's
Yeah.
so I get it because like I was glad that I was there for you through that, and I'm glad when my friends confide in me, and so I understand that it's disappointing to hear that like your best friend is going through something and they they can't or they feel like they can't tell you. But it's just like it's hard to change it,
Yeah.
you know?
I think it's just actually letting, like, for me, when my brother did pass away, I made sure I told people, hey, can you be on standby? The funeral's tomorrow and
Mm.
be on standby for the next 3 days. I
Yeah.
literally told like 10 people,
Well,
and they're like, okay, we'll wait for your call. I do have something scheduled, but I'll pick up.
okay. That's good.
Like you just set yourself up
Nice.
for success in
Yeah.
those ways.
Yeah. I'll
Practice
learn
it.
eventually. I know. It's just
Just
about
practice
practicing.
it.
Yeah.
You have to just get present to it and be aware of it when it is happening, and you're like, oh, I'm doing that thing
Yeah.
where I don't want to ask for help and I want to go into my own little turtle shell and cave and be
Hmm.
alone. But that's like the opposite of what you should be doing.
Yeah. That's true. Okay, so the next one is over explaining. Sending a text explaining every reason why you can't make it to something, or finding yourself giving five back to back justifications for something small. It's as if you're trying to prove that your reasons aren't valid enough, which can come from feeling like your needs weren't enough on their own. Are you guilty of this?
Yeah,
Mm.
I am. I think right now, learning to give, because this is also something that I'm learning, is I don't need to give any reasons or justifications. Like, hey, I'm not going.
Yeah.
And if they do want to ask why, they can, but I could just say because I'm not going.
Did you ever justify your dad beating you? I'm just curious.
Um, did I ever justify him beating me? No.
That's good.
No. I never like thought that I ever deserved it.
That's good.
Yeah,
Because,
no.
like, you never know. Sometimes it's like, well, I mean, it's just our culture, and, like, that's how they, like,
Well,
raise
it
their
is.
kids. I know, but, like, like, sometimes you know in your heart that it's, like, the right way to do it and, like, a wrong way to do it, you know?
Hmm. Yeah. I no. To answer your question, no.
That's
No.
good. Look
No.
at that.
So, I know. I like
Growth.
now that you're asking these, I'm like I'm working on all of them.
Good. Good. Yeah. No, I was just curious because, you know, what's it called? Generational curse,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
What about
definitely
you?
do the same thing. I'm trying to think like why, but I think it was just the way it was. Like
Mhm.
I felt like I mean maybe like some sort of like peer pressure and then feeling like okay, if I don't want to do something, I'll have to like over explain because a simple no just didn't like didn't suffice type of
Mhm.
thing. And I think that has just come with age. I think I think everyone experiences peer pressure when they're kids, in one way or another, and then sometimes it bleeds over to like young adulthood, and then once you're an adult, you're like, no, I don't need to like say why I don't want to do something. I just like no is good enough, and I think most of my friends are like that now, where it's just like, no, I don't want to, and like I just don't want to. I think it depends on what it is, because I still sometimes over explain maybe more like my actions or why I say things. And even those things are valid. Like if I did something, that's what I did. And uh, instead of just like saying, no, I did it because of this, I'll give like XYZ like explanations addition to that. And I only had to say that one thing. And I think it's just conditioned in me to do it, you know?
Yeah.
Do you do that with friends?
Well, yeah. To people please. That's like the bottom line. I don't want to get anybody upset. I want everybody to be happy. I avoid conflict. So it's like a perfect marriage right there.
Perfect storm. Yeah, seriously. Oh, it's hard. Yeah. Working on that. Okay, next one is hyper independence.
Oh, we love that.
This can look like never letting anyone get close or needing to do everything yourself. When you've been let down or disappointed, especially at a young age, independence becomes a shield. It's almost like thinking, if I can't rely on anyone, I won't get hurt.
Yes, ma'am. Hey,
Preaching
please
to
call
the
me Mrs.
choir.
Hyper Independent. Ah.
Oh,
Yeah, it's it's a part of my survival
yeah.
mechanism. I mean, it's yeah, I had to do a lot of things on my own, figure it out, and I that came with a lot of resentment.
Hmm.
I resented my parents for not supporting me in, you know, life, in how I should build my life.
Mm-hmm.
Had to learn everything on my own. And did I have to learn everything on my own? No. I have cousins, I have,
You have
other
a big
family
family,
members,
yeah.
I have friends, I have counselors. I could have gone to anybody for support, but no, I chose to do it on my own.
Yeah. All the way from like when you were a kid or specifically when you got pregnant
I think
and onward.
when my parents got divorced and my mom was going through it, and
How old were you again when
I
that happened?
I think like 10 or
10?
11.
Mm. Yeah.
And when my parents separated, my mom was, obviously going through it. And we had to take care of ourselves,
Mm.
really. She was there, but she wasn't there
Yeah.
at the same time. So, yeah, and then when I was in high school, having to take care of my siblings because my mom was working far away, it was a lot of responsibility at a young age. And then when I got pregnant, I didn't know what I was doing.
Mm.
Yeah, my mom said she would support me. She did to an extent, but at the same time, there was a point where I was like, fuck it. Fuck everybody.
Yeah.
Fuck what everybody has to say. I'm gonna do this on my own. I'm gonna put myself in school and I'm gonna do this on my own. I don't need anybody else.
Mm.
And that's when I decided I was like, fuck everybody.
Yeah. And that was that while you were pregnant?
That was
Oh.
after I gave birth. Probably like when he was like 2 or 3.
Mm. Was it easier to do it then? Because like he was already like 3, so he could have gone to like kinder or preschool.
It was a lot of juggling.
Yeah.
I had to put him into a preschool. I had to apply for assistance and then put him in there.
Mm.
Find places, put him in there. And then go to school, go and pick him up, study late at night, put him to bed. I was still up studying.
Were you
You
working
know?
at the same time?
Was I working at the same time? No, I wasn't working, luckily.
How
Because
were you
at that
able
time
to?
I applied for assistance for
Ah, okay.
school, and then I
Mhm.
also lived at my grandparents at the
That's
time,
right. Yeah.
so I didn't have to pay for rent. My car at the time was paid off,
Mm.
and I wasn't making any payments on that, so I was just going to school, but
That's
also just caring for a child.
yeah, which is a full-time job on its own.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
he was younger, so it was a lot.
Yeah. I bet.
Yeah,
But it also like made you, I mean, it's always like the hyper independence is like a double-edged sword because you don't always have to do it, but then it's also rewarding to be independent because at the end of the day, like it's you alone in the world. Like you are born alone, you're gonna die alone, like in that sense. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
it's good to be able to take care of yourself, you know?
Right. Yeah, and I'd rather have it be this way than me, any other way
Yeah.
because I I can take care of myself. I don't need anybody else.
Hmm.
I can pick up and leave anywhere and I'll figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a survivor. I'm a
Yeah.
survivor.
I cannot sing Destiny's Child. It's way too high pitched for me. I cannot. Yeah. I'm the same way, and I think again it stems from me being an only child. Like
Mhm.
I mean, I had a lot of friends, but at the end of the day, like when I went home, I was alone. Like I had my parents, obviously, but like I was by myself in my room 80% of my childhood. And I think it's natural to become independent when you're an only child. And I mean, it just solidified the fact that I have been kind of living my life by myself, like on my own. When I moved to LA as a 21-year-old, not knowing anyone, I figured out everything on my own. And yeah, it's just been like it hasn't changed, I guess. Like I think, well, especially because I don't ask for help. I don't know how to ask for help. Unless there's absolutely something that I cannot do on my own. But it's more of a practical thing that I need help with, which that to me is not that hard to ask for. It's more of the mental, emotional support and help that I struggle with. But like I have asked multiple friends, like I need to build this couch or I need to build like a huge furniture. Like, you want to come over, help me? I'll buy dinner, stuff like that. But everything else, like, I'm just like, no, I'll figure it out. Because I always figured it out. I was always just like, playing by myself and I would figure out how to do things. And so it's just natural, I think.
Natural in your natural habitat
My
of
natural
being
habitat.
alone.
Yeah, with no one around. I don't know. It's just, I think it's just I mean, it's how it's always been, you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
That's okay. So the next one is overthinking every interaction.
Yeah. I
Replaying, yeah,
You're replaying
yeah,
what?
yeah. replaying conversations in your head, analyzing every word, worrying if someone's mad at you. It can feel like you're trying to anticipate rejection or abandonment, which often links back to feeling insecure in early relationships.
I used to do that a lot and it would fucking kill me. It would fucking kill me until I started taking personal development courses
Mm,
and now I can be more logic.
mm,
And if somebody says something that I just don't attach any meaning to it.
mm,
And that has been like a superpower for me because that used to stop me a lot in the things that I would do and try to create if I got like disempowered by anything that anybody said to me. Like that's it. I'd go disappear. And I'd
mm,
cry or I'd bitch and complain or I'd go gossip about it to somebody else.
mm.
And now when somebody says something, I'm just like, okay. And then I always look and think maybe they're going through something today. I'm not taking it
Yeah,
personal.
yeah. Well, what if it is personal towards you? How would you deal with it then?
It's not though, at the end of the day. If somebody has something, because that's what I've been dealing with a lot now,
Mm-hmm.
in my program, somebody said to me that I treat them like shit. And
Someone in the
like that's
program
not,
said that?
yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I really get that you feel that I treat you like shit. And that's just his experience, right? Because you know me, I'm
Mm-hmm.
fucking nice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very thoughtful and I'm considerate of other people's feelings.
Yeah.
And this individual gets like triggered by me
Mm.
by like something from the past that he recognizes in me. And that's
Mm.
not my fucking problem.
No. But what if it was something that I was hurt by that you'd said? Would you feel like,
Well,
oh,
yeah, I
well,
would
that is,
apologize. Of course, I would apologize.
but then you would attach feelings to it, right?
No,
No?
I just apologize and I'm sorry if that hurt your feelings, but that wasn't my intention.
But you would still take like, okay, yeah, that's my fault. And that's not a me problem. If you said something like specifically.
If I said something specifically and they said that, then yeah, obviously I would apologize. I would apologize because like that's not my commitment to our friendship. My commitment is to our growth and our development together and our friendship, right? And us being successful. So, of course I'm going to apologize.
Because then you wouldn't think that it was like a me thing. You would think that it's a you thing because you were the one that said it.
Well, yeah, then I can
Okay, okay,
reflect and say, yeah, that's not my intention to hurt you.
okay. I'm just curious if like you had been able to like disassociate yourself if something that you like an interaction was like, no, that's not me. That's just like a you problem.
Well, yeah.
But
Again,
like,
it
again, like
varies
it
from
just depends.
situation to situation.
Yeah,
And when somebody just wants to be a fucking victim about everything,
yeah,
I'm not gonna take responsibility for
right.
that because that's something that they have to deal with themselves.
Yeah.
Because how many scenarios is that like where else is that happening out in their lives?
Mm,
Not just with me,
yeah. Yeah,
you
so yeah,
know?
it depends on who you're talking to.
Yeah.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, I definitely do this. And it's so annoying. Even when people have hurt me and I'm trying to, I don't even know like if like deflect is the right word, but like trying to just calm down the situation and whatever it is, I still overthink and I'm like, well, did I say something wrong? Even though they've hurt me in the first place. And I said nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. I'm still like showing it to my friends like, did I do something that am I in the wrong? And they're all like, no. And I'm like, and I'm still lying awake thinking about it, like replaying the conversation over and over, thinking, should I say something differently? I still do this. It's
Yeah.
so annoying where I'm like, no, I should be allowed to feel this way. And even if someone hurt me, I should be allowed to say, like, like I'm like upset with you, I'm angry with you because you hurt me and not feel guilty about it.
Absolutely.
And I
Yes.
can't yet. It's
You
hard.
can. You can. And
Oh, I know.
I think there's a huge difference between doing it through a text message
Hmm.
versus doing it over the phone or in person.
Yeah. Well, I'll still think about it later over and over, regardless if it's in person or if it's over text, which is so annoying. But it's just, and I don't know. Maybe that is just from like, yeah, again, like childhood and something happening and me not really knowing how they feel, how they think. If they do talk about me to someone else or to their, other, I don't know, like their
Can you give an
boyfriend.
example?
Um, well, for example, that friend that I told you about that like she was really mean to me because the catalyst of this whole thing was me texting her expressing my feelings that were hurt by her actions, and she met me with like the most passive aggressive text message ever, and it like saying that I was like needy as fuck and I didn't understand her life situation, which was not the case. I had bent over backwards to be there for her as a friend, support in any way, shape, or form. You know me. You know how I always show up for my friends, and she was still like she was being super mean to me, and I still felt like I was in the wrong.
Right. And you're doing
Which is
that
so
thing where
fucked
you
up.
have to protect and justify.
Yeah. Yeah. But
If
it
you could just
yeah.
be with whatever she had to say and just make it mean, like what does it mean about you that she's saying that?
I mean, I'm over it now. This happened
But like what did you make it
many
mean?
years
Like you're a
ago.
bad friend?
Yeah, I think, yeah, that I was like a bad person.
Is that true?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know exactly what you
I
did for
know.
her.
Yeah.
And if she wants to say that stuff, then okay, great. But you know that you're a damn good friend.
Hmm.
You bend over backwards for her, and what she's probably just angry about something. Maybe
Yeah.
she didn't get laid.
I mean, I knew that she was having like kind of issues with her husband, and it turned out that because she blocked me on everything, but I had like one of my best friends was still like was a mutual friend, and so she was still following her, and she was like, she's pregnant. I'm like, that checks out.
Maybe she was moody. Yeah,
Yeah.
see?
But still, it was, yeah, I don't know.
But again, see like how you were beating yourself up,
Hmm.
even though you know that you're not a bad friend.
Takes
So
practice.
then you don't even have to think twice about it. If she's saying
Hmm.
that stuff, like it's not true.
Yeah.
The guy that was saying that I treat him like shit, that's not true.
Yeah. I know. It's just learning to like shut it off when those
Yeah.
thoughts come, but it's just, again, it's practice. Okay, the next one is people pleasing. We know we both do this. So it says getting, like going out of your way to make others happy, even if it's inconvenient for you, can sometimes be a result of trying to keep the peace. It's like you're wired to think if everyone else is happy, maybe you'll feel safe too. Yeah.
Conflict avoidance.
Mm, wanting to always be liked is how it is for me. Like I just craved people liking me. I craved having people around me at all times. And how do I do that? At least how I thought I like that would happen was just to people please, because that way they would want to hang out with me. That's been from like childhood, like itty bitty, itty bitty. Number 8. Feeling guilty for relaxing. Trying to sit back and chill only to feel anxious or like you're wasting time. If you grew up in an environment that expected constant productivity or where you had to earn downtime, resting can actually feel uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. Hi,
Hi.
I'm here.
Where did it come from?
Um, being not good enough. Like
Mm.
anything I do is not good enough, so I always have to work,
Mm.
work harder, do
And
more.
relaxing was like you being lazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when I was younger, my dad used to make us all, because he wanted us to be performers. I
Mm.
would sing, my brother would play piano, my sister she would also sing, and then my younger brother would play the violin. So he would make us practice on the weekends. We would have like probably 5 or 6 hours on Saturday and then 5 or 6 hours on Sunday. So if we missed our hours on Saturday, he would tack them on to Sunday. So we'd have like 12-hour days of just singing, playing piano. Like we would literally sit there like slaves doing that.
That's insane.
Uh-huh.
And would he
And if
get
not,
mad
he
if you
would beat
like
us. Yeah, he
didn't
would
do it?
beat us.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was so being lazy was literally beat into your mind that like it's not okay.
Yeah, and then whenever we wanted to play outside, we'd have to beg to go play outside. And back then it was really fun. We would go outside,
Mm-hmm.
run, play tag, hide and seek, ride our bikes around the block.
Yep.
I love that.
Yeah. Different times. Yeah.
Hmm.
I think
What about you?
for me, I think it's just the culture of like you need to work for like everything type of thing. I think I mean maybe it's more of a like a 50-50 because I just felt I like I thrived when I was busy. I think it's more that like I just like being busy. But yeah, I think the older I get and because I have struggled with like health issues, I just know that the only way to get better and to heal is to relax, is to do nothing. So I've just learned over time, but I've had to learn just by my own experience because I obviously know and I've seen people that like when you do relax, then you can heal. But I just didn't I hadn't experienced it. But now I'm like, okay, I do know that I need to rest, and it's the only way I'm able to survive. So that I don't know if that came from specifically childhood trauma, but we have it anyways. For me
Yeah.
at least. Okay. Number 9, difficulty setting boundaries.
Yep. I
Hello.
just learned boundaries. We had a whole episode
We
on it.
did.
Go
And
watch it.
yeah. And I'll just read it anyways. Whether it's saying no, protecting your time, or even just asking for space, boundaries can feel foreign. If saying no used to come with consequences or backlash, it can feel like saying yes is the safer option, even at your own expense. For you, obviously, if you said no, I'm sure you wouldn't get whooped.
Yeah. I was thinking about the one person that I said I needed space from and then never heard from her ever again.
Dude, you're like, I didn't
Anyways,
mean, I didn't mean that much space, bitch. But okay. Did you?
you know what I'm talking about?
Anyways, yeah.
Okay, next.
Yeah, I mean, and I did literally just said it. Like, I would just like, I do everything for my friends more than I should have. So then I'm like, all the time that I should sometimes spend on myself, I don't. So then it's like, oh, so yeah. But yeah, we have a whole episode about it. Number 10, dismissing your own feelings. You might catch yourself saying, it's not that big of a deal, or I'm just overreacting. Minimizing your emotions can come from childhood where your feelings weren't validated, so you learn to brush them aside.
Yep.
Mm,
Yep.
give me
Tons of suppressed emotions over here.
same.
And I am in the practice of acknowledging my feelings, acknowledging them and allowing the emotions to just flow through me and not hold back.
Yeah.
Because one of the things I'll do is, oh, I hate crying, and then stop myself from crying.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
You're like, can't relate?
I'm
Do
a
you cry?
Cancer, okay? It's actually good for us to cry.
It is. It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Um, I think for me, because it's so easy for me to cry over something like joyful and happy, like play me like a song and like a really powerful song, I'll cry. I'll watch a commercial and I'll cry because I'm
You're
like,
like
it's
your
so
mom.
cute. I know. My dad is the same way, and I mean, but
That's
cancers
so
are
funny.
especially like, like that.
Hmm.
But when it comes to like crying over something that I feel like my own feelings, that is hard for me. But yeah, I think it's just I'm like it's good to cry. Like otherwise, if you keep them inside, which I have done a lot in the past, it made me sick. So now I'm not doing that anymore. We're not doing that anymore. So that
Hmm.
just like it's just don't know exactly where it came from. It just happened, and then it was just a long time of trying to change it, you know? But yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely hard. Number 11, constantly worrying about being too much or not enough. You might be careful not to ask for too much support or feel like you have to earn people's love or approval. This can stem from feeling like your worth dependent on being useful or easygoing.
That's me.
Do you feel like you were too much or not enough?
When I just had, I don't know if I shared it here, but when somebody said it to me a couple of weeks ago, they were like, "You're too much to deal with." And that hit a fucking button for me.
Ooh, trigger.
And like she was having a really rough day, right? And she just said what she said. And again, like it didn't mean anything about me. And it's like all over there with her. But then when I got triggered by it, because I started crying, like after the call, because I like sucked it up. And yeah, I was like, where's this coming from? Why am I so affected by it? Is because I had it that I was too much to deal with because that's something my mom had said to me when I was younger.
Wow.
So it was
Told you
like
that?
able to, huh?
She told you that? How old were
Yeah,
you?
because we were, I don't remember, we were really young and she had four
Wow.
kids and she got fed up and she was just like, you guys are too much. So like that's something that she had always said. So that triggered me. And so I was able to backtrack all the way to my
Wow.
childhood and just see that and then know that like I am enough. I'm not too much.
Yeah.
And that was just such a huge learning curve for me. But definitely those two things of I'm not good enough or I'm too much, those are definitely some buttons for me
Yeah.
that get pushed. And every time I hear it from other people or I get that feeling, I trace it back to like something that happened to me in the past, like whatever scenario,
Yeah.
and I'm able to kind of like heal that part of my childhood,
Yeah.
which it's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But I've been really putting in the freaking work for it. I've been crying I have been crying a lot. Who am I kidding? I've been crying, frustrated. It's
Yeah.
been a journey.
Sure has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what about you?
I have always felt like I'm not enough. Always. And I think maybe it stems from my insecurity of just like my looks because I mean I always had a lot of friends so I knew that there wasn't something wrong with me in terms of like being likable, but I didn't feel beautiful and I thought that was the only way to get a boyfriend or to like have someone fall in love with you. And so I always just felt like in that regard I was just never enough. And I mean, I was an ugly duckling. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's still like it's hard for me to like look back because like I've had this conversation with my therapist a lot. Like, looking back at like my younger self and saying that she's beautiful. Like, I don't know if I'll ever be able to do that. I'm still really working on that. And so, and I feel like it's okay in the sense to be like, you had a glow up. Like, a lot of people do that, but I put too much emphasis on not being enough or being enough on looks. And I don't know if it's because of growing up here, people are supposed to be naturally beautiful and blah blah blah. And I don't know exactly where it came from. I was just very severely insecure about it, and I just felt like I was too ugly, too fat to ever have a boyfriend, which I think I've shared in the body shaming episode. And it's still something I'm struggling with
Yeah.
to feel like I'm not enough for a partner, romantic partner, you know?
Yeah. No, I get that. And something that I also struggled with was like basing my worth off of how I looked and really knowing that I'm beautiful and perfect the way that I am. And
Mhm.
if anybody says anything otherwise, then I'm not the match for them.
Yeah. I
You
know
know?
that,
Fuck
yeah. And
that.
I have the same like mentality on one hand, but on the other hand, it's like it's still like,
Yeah.
you know,
You
noise.
gotta put the little Henrietta in the corner. Put that bitch
I
in the
know.
corner.
I know.
When you hear her speaking, be like, oh, that's Henriette. Put her in the corner.
Yeah. This is Henriette 2.0. Let her talk.
Exactly.
Yeah. But it's hard because it's like, again, unlearning so many years of feeling that way and not working through it and not saying it out loud. I
Yeah.
remember saying for the first time out loud that I didn't feel good enough to my friend in 2020 because that's when I started therapy, and she was like, "Why?" I'm like, "Well, it's because my depression, and but then also like that was like the main thing." And saying it out loud, it was like I heard it for the first time. And then I was like, okay, well, that's not good, you know?
Hmm.
But yeah, working on it, working on it. Okay, number 12, fear of abandonment. It's the lingering worry that people will leave or stop caring about you, even if things seem fine. This can lead you to overanalyze or feel anxious as if you're waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah. Guilty.
Mm,
Guilty.
where did it come from?
I think obviously when my parents got divorced, it just, families can pick up and leave
Hmm.
in an instant and they'll be gone. Um, and then just constantly attracting the same relationship that my parents had
Mm,
in my romantic relationships
mm,
where they did leave. I wasn't able to trust them.
mm.
Like it was just a constant cycle that like I've recently just been able to break.
Yeah, that makes sense. Did your dad ever have another, like a new family, by the way?
No,
No, because
no.
that I imagine would have been an additional thing that would have happened if that was the case.
Probably, but I mean, yeah. I wish he would have, but my dad was sick. So,
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think again, because I'm an only child, I was always like scared that my friends would drop me just because I'm not blood related to them. Like you don't owe me anything because we're not related. So like you don't have to hang out with me. You don't have to stay by me kind of thing. I think that was a big part of it. And then I think also somehow I don't know if it's how it's I do know why it's how it's related, but like the why and what it relate like specific examples, but because my mom was in the hospital a lot, like I would, wake up one morning and she would be gone because she had been picked up by the ambulance while I was sleeping. Um, or yeah, that she was just, gone for weeks at a time, sometimes months at a time. And my dad would also like work so much because he had to work, obviously, and he's always worked retail, so it's always been like, like late hours. And I think I mean, I was just by myself a lot. So I felt like, yeah, like nobody like has to type of thing.
yeah.
So, if that
I
makes
think this
sense.
also connects maybe to like your hyper independence because you're always alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor little Henrietta.
Oh,
I want to give you a hug.
I want to give you a hug too. Like it's crazy how we come from. Like again, I mean, this is like why it's interesting to hear about our experiences, but us having like deep wounds, but they're so different. They're kind of
Yeah.
opposite almost. But yeah, it's life be lifing, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Okay, so the last one, overworking to prove yourself.
Yeah.
Throwing yourself into work or projects to feel worthy can be a way to counter feelings of inadequacy. Sometimes, when love and praise were conditional, you learn that your value is tied to how much you can achieve.
I don't know. I'm still looking too. Is like, am I overworking? Like now, am I overworking or am I actually doing things that are serving me and that
Mm,
are purposeful and that I enjoy. Because, like, that's what I'm doing right now. But I could see how in the past, if I overworked, it like went into, am I valuable? Am I worthy?
Makes sense.
Yeah. What about you?
Like I said in one of the other ones, I enjoy being busy. I enjoy like having a lot on my plate. Yeah, there has been times where it was too much, where I was like, I can't even, like, I cannot be sick right now. Like, I was working and I had like school and I had like super busy social life. Like, I've done that, 3 times and I loved it. But I do remember thinking, like, why am I doing all this? I could be like a little bit more chill. I didn't think about like the why at the time because I enjoyed it, and I think the one thing that I have felt like for a while, like that kind of connects to this, is that I always felt like I wasn't smart growing up. And when I went to college, because I found that like classes in high school were just boring and I wasn't interested, so I didn't get the best grades. But when I went to college and I like had chosen all these things and I did really well, like I've been on President's Honor Roll multiple times and like I felt like I had to, yeah, like prove that I was smart. And but I also was just really proud of myself, and I just the results that I got, I was able to prove to myself that I was smart. And then I think the need to tell everyone else that I was smart kind of subsided, but maybe that's where it stemmed from.
Do you think that's why you have all these degrees?
The one's behind me. um, I think it's a combination, I think, because I genuinely love learning. I loved being a student.
But do you think it's because you had to like prove it?
Maybe to a degree. No pun intended. Pun intended.
Yeah.
But I think that is a cultural thing because, like I said, it's very common to have your master's, for example, and if you don't
Hmm.
have that, or if you don't have a bachelor's degree, it's like,
Right.
so I
Right.
think it's probably a mix of just culturally, it's very normal to have higher education,
Hmm.
and the fact that I wanted to, yeah, prove to people that like I am smart, even though I've heard growing up that I was stupid, and I wanted to
Mm,
disprove that,
got it.
you know?
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
It's something that you
Well,
will never
that
forget.
exactly. That was a great quiz.
Did we
Yeah.
pass or did we fail?
I
I don't know how to
know. Oh
grade
my
it.
gosh. We're gonna go into healing now
Yeah.
to close it out. So I think for me, like really going to therapy has helped me, have a kickstart to supporting me in healing my traumas. And like taking personal development has been a huge game changer for me, and constantly putting myself in like seminars or classes, leadership programs, whatever it is, like something that I'm just constantly seeing where those childhood traumas are constantly coming up in my current life. And then what about you?
For me, I think it's just actually opening up to people, talking to my friends who I trust, and sharing my experiences and getting their input and their thoughts. Because a lot of the times, like now, even though we didn't experience the same things, like we have a lot of the same feelings, and just hearing that my feelings are validated and that they understand and that it's normal, because I felt like a lot of things I was feeling, because I didn't talk about it, I was like, this is not normal, like I'm weird, I'm, all those things. And also obviously therapy, and I think just age, like you just become wiser with age. Reading a lot, like I love reading biographies, so reading about other people's experiences and trauma, and again, just like finding relatability has been one of the biggest things for me, because it's hard to feel like you can heal when you think you're alone. And once you find out that you're not alone, it's easier to heal.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. It is important to surround yourself by like a community that does support you.
Yeah,
So, yeah, that's
very.
amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and I think there's a huge difference between knowing your trauma responses versus actually changing them, and the importance of self-awareness and why recognizing these things is the first step to healing.
Yeah.
And another thing is self-love and how to stop shaming yourself for your trauma responses and start treating yourself with more compassion.
Yeah, 100%. Well, that was a long one, and I feel like we needed that. And my wine is almost gone, so I think that means it was a successful episode. We really want to encourage all of you guys to also be vulnerable and to maybe go through the list yourself, and maybe you'll learn something about yourself, and you might have some aha moments like Heather and I have had over the past couple of years. And you know what? There's no shame in having childhood trauma. We all do. For whatever reason, we react to things, and it's just normal.
Yeah, and if you're working on yourself, you're already ahead of the game. Thank you so much for hanging out with us on 30s Unfiltered. Don't forget to subscribe, rate us, and share this episode. See you next time.
Hey, thanks for listening. We hope you got some takeaways from today's episode.
You can also follow us on Instagram and YouTube at 30s Unfiltered, or email us at 30sunfiltered@gmail.com.
Please leave us a like, comment, and subscribe to our channels. See you next time.